People spend exclusively on the roads of humanity, 911 and the whole thing. We gotta change it, guys. This is the way we. Good evening. Good evening. It's 7 p.m. Wednesday. I'm Ali Shamsuddin, and this is Standing for the People. As I always say, this program is brought to you by the people. That is, people, citizens just like yourself, who got together and said, Shamsuddin, you used to be on the air with Mr. Tisdale, the late publisher of the Jackson Advocate newspaper, that is the largest African-American newspaper printed in Mississippi. And it's also distributed abroad, around the world, as a matter of fact. We used to do a program on Friday nights, Views from the Black Side. And that program was about bringing facts. That's what this program is about, bringing facts that we can use. We're not here to gossip, not interested in gossip. We're not interested in what people are doing in their private lives. Only if what they're doing as officials with some authority in this state, wherever in this state, and in terms of how they're dealing with our tax money that we contribute to government to have a better life, a better form of life, a better avenue in terms of reaching our goals in life. Well, not always, but sometimes I point out, I always like to do a shout out to my good friend out there, Constable John Brown. He's always stood with me, and he's the longest running elected constable in the country. That's Constable Brown. And also my good friend out there, he's a Reverend as well, Marcus Wells, who is in line to get a big promotion over there at the Sheriff's Department, and we're waiting on that to happen. Tonight, we want to talk, and I want to hear from you, because last week we touched on some things that I had the comptroller for Hinds County on the program last week, Dr. Kalani Vanish, a very brilliant young lady, African-American, of course, who is in charge of managing, or I should say, keeping track of the monies that come through Hinds County. That is the Board of Supervisors. She's in charge of that budget and knowing what's going out and what's coming in and how is it going out. Very brilliant young lady. And she brought us some information that was pertinent to eye-opening, as a matter of fact, because one of the things she brought to our attention is a lot of times, for years, we've been saying over $300 million go through the county's budget. And we wondering, with all that money, why aren't our roads being fixed, and why aren't the bridges being fixed? And, they have money, seem like they could address these issues. And we come to find out from the comptroller of that $300-some million that goes through the county, some of it goes to other agencies like the Hinds County Public School. And once those assets and once those funds get into the hands of those entities, the county board of supervisors don't have any more control over. So basically what we learned is that what they actually have control over is about $79 million. And still we want to know, what are they doing with that? and what are they planning to do with that? What have they done with it, and what are they planning to do with it? When we start talking budgets, we're talking about monies that come out of our paychecks, monies that we have to spend in order to spend money. I'm saying that so, in a very colloquial manner, so that, we all can kind of understand what we're saying. When I say all of us are taxpayers, some of us say, well, I haven't had a job in a while. Am I a taxpayer? Or I don't own any property. I don't own a house. I don't own any land. Matter of fact, I don't even own a car. So am I a taxpayer? I'm homeless. Am I a taxpayer? If you're spending money however you get it. Standing on the corner, asking people to give you whatever coins are in their pocket or however you get your money. When you spend that money, you become a taxpayer. You spend that money on food, you spend that money on entertainment, you spend that money on clothes, or whatever. In order to spend money, you have to pay taxes to spend money. So I want everybody to understand you are contributing to the pot. You are contributing to the budget if you live in and spending money. Now, the thing is, we as African Americans here in the South and in Mississippi particularly, we've gone through some trials and some tribulations, and we've had some plenty of white folks that helped us along the way. I talk about the two young men. Just think about how their families feel. They came down in here in the Mississippi, Swarner and Goodman, to help Black people register to vote, and were brutally murdered, along with Dick Cheney, with James Cheney, who was Black. But here are people who contributed, gave their all. They said, well, you can't give it more than your life. Because they understood the importance of us registering and voting, that which was denied to us for so long. That people fought, bled, died, sit in, marched, lost jobs, got harassed. The whole emphasis behind the white citizens councils and the Ku Klux Klan, with all that harassment and murdering that they were doing, was to intimidate Black people to move out of the state. That was the plan, to get us to move out, to diminish, because during the great agricultural era and then the era of slavery, we as African Americans, because we were the hands-on the plantation, we outnumbered white folks 10-1. That was before the 1930s and the 1940s, when the Klan and the White Citizens Council was so prevalent. But their goal was to run us out of the South, because they knew at some point we were going to get the right to vote. Now, we always had it, but they came up with schemes to keep us from voting. Now, this is what we have to understand now, and I'm putting this out there. Take notes on it if you will, because these are facts. Here we are in a unique situation in Mississippi. In Mississippi as a state, we're in a unique situation. I'm talking about African American. We're almost 40% of the population. Mississippi has, percentage-wise, the largest population of African Americans than any other state in the country. We're approaching 40%, and that's increasing. And what that means? That means if we would register to vote, we would have a dramatic impact on every statewide election in this state, including federal elections. Who's going to be our senators? Who's going to be the Congress, going up there representing us in Washington, D.C. as our Congress people? See, the white folks that have been controlling this, they understand that. As I said, they have a 200-year head start on us in terms of understanding this process that they put together. So now we got to catch up. And we got to be more intelligent. And by that, what I mean, I keep saying, we as African Americans, we're not dumb. We're not stupid. We've been ignorant. Ignorance can be cured with proper information. But they've kept the proper information from us so long that now we're just getting to the point that we kind of trying to see how things work. Now, we have a very unique situation here in Hinds County and in Jackson. Jackson is being said now has the largest African American population as a city than any other city in the country. That used to be DC. Hinds County is almost 90% African American. Jackson, 85% African American. And I'm not saying that from no negative perspective. I'm saying just a fact in terms of what that means to us and who we can put in these offices that have control over our money and the laws, local laws. If I keep saying that our politics are local. Yeah, the president up there, you know, he doing his thing up there that affects the whole country. But the president is not making laws that impact our life every day that we have to live by. That's the people locally, statewide, countywide, and municipal. This is why it's so important for us as African Americans first to register and to vote. And now we have to know who we're voting for. Because we've had people running for these offices, particularly citywide and countywide. Some of them don't have the vaguest idea of the authority that they have. They don't. They're running for a seat, a position, for status. But if you look at what our situation here in Jackson, in Hinds County Public Schools, Jackson Public Schools, and when we really realize that we control every dime that goes through those budgets, we don't have to. I mean, the city officials, county officials, Hinds County Public School officials do not have to ask the majority white legislature over there how to spend the money in their budgets. So, you know, when we think of it like that, you have to think about the amount of power that we have with that control. I'll start taking your calls as soon as you call. Go ahead, Carly, you're on there.
You know, I noticed you all saying into inauguration and voting, which I'm all for that. But I'm not sure what. Some Jackson probably getting probably about 170, maybe some thousand registered voters or something like that, maybe. And the election can be fun with less than 20,000 votes. I mean, the people are registered to vote. They're just not getting out to vote. I mean, you know, you have a registration, they'll come out for the free hot dogs and the jumper-ons, but they don't come out to vote, man. I mean, if all the people registered to vote would come out and vote, there's no way that Jackson should ever lose in any kind of election.
Well, I agree with you right there. I wholeheartedly. What you're saying, brother, I agree with you 100%. A lot of us do register and we don't vote.
If they would just come out and if they just look at the amount of people registered, you could have a mayor race and it'll be won less than probably 20,000 votes or something like that. You got 100-some thousand registered voters in Jackson. And if they would all, there's no way that these elections in Jackson should be lost if all the people that registered to vote will just come out and vote. And like I said, you can have the registration if people come out and vote for once they vote. That's it. And don't let it be a runoff. If there's a runoff, you can hang it up. They ain't coming back up for a runoff.
What you talking facts there, brother. I appreciate your call, man. I agree with you 100%. Thank you. You know, now we got a population in Jackson of 100, and the last census about 150,000. You know, the number of people who are eligible to register to vote, of course, will be less than that because some of those you have to account for children, people under the age to vote. And then all these other schemes that they've come up with, you know, to try to keep people from voting, particularly people who they say have committed a convicted of a felony. You know, that's a big one they use against us. And why do I say that? When I say we are about 40% of the population in Mississippi, we're about 40% of the population in Mississippi, and we 68% of the people in prison in Mississippi. 40% of the population, and 68% of those who are in prison. Go ahead, Carly, on that.
Mr. Lawyer, Sampson,
Yes, sir.
you just said that a felony keeps you from voting here in the state of Mississippi. We got a president got 34 guilty felonies. He just nailed this battle in.
You're right. Absolutely. You absolutely.
Tell me this here, lawyer. Why is it that the boy that committed the crime in Hinds County, he's not jailed in Hinds County, he's jailed in Madison County?
Well, that has to do with the amount of room that they have in the jails, in the county jail. That has a lot to do with that. So the county is swapped back and forth in terms of space. So that's why you will find that situation.
That's your reason. You think that's the reason why? No other reason?
Well, there may be some others, and if you know, you can inform us. But I know that's one of the major ones.
Okay, well, why won't they put his mugshot out? Why is it that his mugshot all of a sudden now, all these other black defenders and black criminals that have committed crimes, they've always put their mugshot out, just like this girl that was just acquitted of the double murder there, the DUI, and they had her mugshot out. But this boy here that bombed the synagogue up there on Old Kent Road, they won't put his mugshot
out. And I can kind of see where you go. I can see where you're going with that, but for by and large, you're right about that, and that's been the case. Usually, when the culprit, as they say, or the so-called defendant is Caucasian, they're not so quick to put the picture out there. That's been the historical. I know where you're going with that, but that historically has been the case. Appreciate your call, brother. And these are the things that when we really realize the amount of power that we have as a body of people, when we register to vote, we can make a tremendous impact. There's no reason, logical really, that we should be 68% of the prisoners in our prison system. That has to do with our school system. That has to do with whether people have decent jobs. There are a lot of factors there. But we're in a position to address those situations. But the people we have been putting in office, they come out and they speak eloquently about what they plan to do. And then, because you never hear none of them say, I don't know what to do while they're campaigning. But then once we put them in office, all those plans disappear. We can look around us and see that. Any of those so-called plans that they said they had disappear. Because once the people historically that we put in over the last 30 years, their plan was to get in office and get rich. And some of them, after they get rich in office, don't even live in the city anymore, or even in the county. So you wonder, what were they planning to do? What were they doing while they was in that position? Were they really trying to make the city or the county a better place to live? Go ahead, Carly, on there.
Yeah, the reason why they put that boy there in Madison County, he on the hate crime and the feds is holding. Hinds County don't have a federal holding tank.
Okay, well, there's information there. So there you go, the previous call. So now, the caller before that, as we were saying, we need to exercise our right. And I don't get that mixed up with privilege. See, a privilege is something, you have to show that you have done something particularly to have this privilege, just like a driver's license. You have to show that you're able to drive a car. You have to take a test and show you're able to drive a car. In order to vote, that right comes with your birth. That's a birthright. And once you get to be 18, you have that right. Go ahead, Carl.
Yes, sir. How you doing? You wouldn't bet anybody that just as they have those
machines that can determine if someone's male or female, white or black. I bet you that a lot of those African American votes are being nullified through the machine. Somebody should do research on that, sir. And also the machines that cash register. I bet you if someone was smart enough to identify it, I bet you that they have where they can identify if you're African American or European, and then the taxes are different when you go into stores, especially those big stores.
Well, I mean, there's a point, and with AI being the way it is, artificial intelligence, as we call it, you know, I certainly wouldn't dispute you on that. I have another call, caller. Thanks for calling in. Go ahead, caller, you on the air.
Hey, Buck Samson, how are you?
I'm good, thank you, brother.
Hey, I've got a question. I heard you say some of the officials that get elected and all, then they pass up to leave the city. Who are the people? Call the name. Who are the people that you're talking about?
Well, if you look at
That's important. That's important. I mean, we elect them and they live outside the city. When you say that, you need to just have that to say and let people be aware of who you're talking about.
oh, okay, well, we had a mayor that was a mayor for 12 years, Harvey Johnson. He doesn't live in the city anymore. After him, Frank Melton, who passed away, so of course he's not living in the city anymore. It is said that, you know, that even the former mayor, Anton Laguma, was preparing a home in Terry, you know, and I before I just put that out there, like I say, you know, as far as my investigation, I found that to be pretty much true. So somebody can call in and say, no, that's not the case. But, you know, I wouldn't argue with you about it. But see, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. You know, when you find a person that's been sitting in the mayor's office, and then when they're not mayor anymore, they didn't make the city good enough for them to live in. So I appreciate the question, brother.
Okay, bro. All right.
You know, and this is where we have to become more vigilant and more sophisticated in how we put people in these offices. Now, for instance, just this past week, they put on the news, the mayor put out there, the city is $30 million in debt. $30 million in debt. Now, one of those reasons is because they haven't had an audit in who knows when. And the second reason, the main reason for that is the city council. The city council. Those 7 members on that city council over there are responsible for managing the budget for the city of Jackson. That's their role. So then when you start saying the city is $30 million in debt, how would the city council not know this? Those who've been there for a while. How would they not know that? How should they not know this? And then the system is set up such that the mayor, I think it's $10,000. Anything over $10,000 has to go through the city council to be approved. So when you got a city council over there saying that we $30 million in debt and we just finding this out, if you just point at the mayor, you're not pointing at the whole picture. That's when I say, you know, we put people in office that don't even know their role, don't even know their responsibility. That's a shame. You know, to say, well, we're $30 million in debt, and then going to try to put it on past administrations and all like this. That people just not performing their function. This is why we have to register and we have to vote. You know, sometimes I've had callers call in and say, you know, some of these people that have been there don't need to be there. And then even the ones we're getting ready to put there in the new elections, that we need to know really what is the background of this person? And can they really be trusted to do what we need them to do? Now, I've said many times on this program, that so-called Siemens fiasco, that came in under Harvey Johnson, with meters that we didn't need. Now people getting water bills $5,000 and $6,000. And then here, when Stephen say, okay, everybody raising a fuss, okay, we're gonna come up with this plan. We're gonna give the city, we're gonna tell the public, we're gonna give them $90 million to reconcile or rectify this situation. When in fact, they didn't give the city $90 million. It didn't. What they did, they wrote off $45 million as a bill, as a write-off. Said, okay, City of Jackson, you don't have to pay us $45 million for these meters that don't work properly anyway. And then we'll give the City of Jackson $43.7 million in cash. Now you follow this process now. And what happened? The mayor, Antar Lumumba, decided that he needed to hire a law firm out of Alabama, a white law firm is that, at that, as if there's not no white law firms in Mississippi. If you're going to give money, it needs to stay here. We got a city legal department. That's what we pay them to do. It's contracts, negotiations, and analyzing and assessing contracts. That's what we pay them with our tax money. Now, if they had signed that agreement, just say, if they just, okay, Siemens, we're going to sign this, we wouldn't have to pay them no extra. But the mayor was able to convince 4 members of the city council to go along with this $30 million, $33 million. So they say they can't, we $30 million in debt. There's $33 million right there that went out the door. Because 4 members of the city council, Rivera, who been there, was one of them, Anthony Lee, another, Virgil Lindsay, who went along with that deal. We lost $33 million. That didn't have to go out the door. When that fiasco was over, the city realized about $7 million out of what they call $90 million. So when we started, sometimes we're looking at the mayor, yeah, the mayor, there's been a problem for us, but our city council was letting them get away with it. That's when I say people don't even know what their responsibilities are. I had Socrates Garrett called in the show last week, a good friend, businessman. He asked about the new jail that's being built here in Hinds County. And he wants to know what was going to be the minority set aside for contracts on that bill, on that facility. Now, years past, that was a very valid question because we were the minority. We were the minority. So we was asking the majority, which was the white folks at the time, give us our share. We here, give us our share. Now, we're almost 90% of the population, and he's asking about set-asides. And we got a board of supervisors over there, all 5 of them black. Did that picture come into mind now? All 5 of them black. We talking about our tax money. Nobody's asking them to break any rules. Nobody's asking them to do anything underhanded or undercover. The rules are what they are. There are no rules that says you got to hire white people or you got to hire black people. They can sit there and decide we 90% of the population, 90% of these contracts should be going to 90% of the population in contractors. Not breaking any rules. But when you got people sitting there that don't understand the rules, how they gonna deal with it? Just like Jackson Public Schools. Black superintendent, 22. They used to call him assistant superintendent. I don't know what they call him now. All of them making over $125,000 a year. He making over $300,000 a year for a C-rated school district. 7 members on the school board over there. There was a time all 7 were white. There was a time all 7 were white. Now 5 out of 7 are white, are black. 5 out of 7 are black. And they're paying the superintendent money like this for a C-rated school district for our children. And then close 13 or 14 schools. And instead of breaking those contracts up so that small contractors, business, minority contractors could get that work, gave all of it to one white contractor, who, by the way, I understand ain't using no minority. Everything's in-house. We made that decision. Can't blame white folks for that. Any school district is the anchor of any community, any city. If a family's gonna move to a city, one of the first things they want to check out is what the school system is like. And imagine if you had those 14 schools up and running, the amount of revenue that would be generated for Jackson. Go ahead, Carla, you're on there.
Yes, sir. Everywhere you say we are not a stupid people, but what you're saying right now, it sounds like we are a stupid people.
Well, I'm gonna disagree with you. I would say we're not stupid. I would say we've been ignorant. But it's time out for that, brother. It's just time out. It's just time out. And I'm saying right now, the whole world is watching us. You know that. All of y'all know that. Right now, you're sitting before some AI device where you're looking at something generated from wherever in the world. Jackson makes the world news. Jackson. And then how will we look complaining about what white folks are doing to us when we run things? At least the county, the city, the school districts, county and city. But we've been putting people in these offices who really do not, I don't think they appreciate being black. I really don't. They don't care about us. What about our children? Do they really care about it? See, when I sit in and I talk facts, people like yourself, they start listening. They hear it. And now people say, well, what's the solution? We're not asking anybody to go out and sit in. We're not asking anybody to do any demonstrations or any marches anywhere. We're saying, first of all, register and vote. And let's know who we're putting in these offices. That's what we need. That's the strategy right there. So that we don't be looking to the world like they got the key to the bank in their hand and they beg. We won't be looking to the world like that. But those of you calling in and keep it going, because that's what people need to hear. There are people just like you out there who thinking just like you. And when they hear you, that's encouraging. Because we're not a dumb people. We're not a stupid people. We've been ignorant. We've been uninformed. And that's what this program is all about. Helping us understand the type of power and strength we have. And nothing negative about it. I'm not sitting here talking about taking revenge or anything like that. I'm saying we should have a better standard of life if we had people who really cared when we put them in these offices. But they want to think that they do want to think that we're just too dumb to realize what they're doing. Guess what? I'm going to research this and well, I did research this. The average salary of a principal in the Jackson Public Schools is $83,000 a year. 83, C-rated school district. Average salary of a teacher in Jackson Public Schools is $42,000 a year. Why that big disparity? And like I say, you got teachers out there doing what they call the grunt work, the in the trenches. A couple of years ago, our children did better on the standardized test than they thought they should have done, and they fired 17 teachers right off the bat. Didn't fire none of those so-called superintendents or principals. So they think they always can step on us because we don't know. That's changing. Facts are facts. That's what we're dealing with. Facts. With a budget of $334 million, $100 million more than the whole city of Jackson's budget, with less than 17,000 students. And they said it broke. But they just gave the superintendent a $50,000 raise. Now, if that sounds ridiculous, it is ridiculous. And we're not the only ones seeing and hearing this, people. The whole world is looking at us. The whole world is looking at us. And we want to be seen and recognized for something other than our sister, our elected official going to jail, prison. So when we realize, where's the strength? Where's the strength? The strength is the fact that we decided to stay here in this state. The strength is this, where we decided to stay here in this city. The strength is because we decided to stay here in this county. And the strength is that this is a democratic country. So we register and we vote. But we're going to be sophisticated enough. We're catching up. We're 200 years behind, but we're catching up real fast. So we can stop people we putting in office thinking that they can just treat us worse than when we were under the rule of the white folks. That's just a fact. So again, it's 601-948-5950. You know, let's hear from you. You know, if you're disputing what I'm saying, if you got some other facts other than what I'm telling you. But I'm saying the way we're gonna deal with it, nobody talking about having no big march. Ain't nobody talking about going anywhere, sitting in anywhere. We talking about registering to vote. And when you go in that booth, you're on your own. But they understand that. At almost 40% of the population, that's why they're trying to send so many of us as they can to prison. The last census for the United States, the city of Jackson, showed that we have 38,000 youth in Jackson, 38,000 between the age of 5 and 18, and less than 17,000 in our school system. What the rest of them? What the rest of them? And then when I say we 68% of the prison, they give you a pretty good idea of what they're trying to do. See, but we mature enough, we're grown, we can handle the facts, we can handle it. And see, when you tell intelligent people how to deal with something, they do better. That's what they say. When you know better, you do better. So then we talking about a C-rated school district with a budget that's $100 million more than the city of Jackson, who has 150,000 citizens. That's people telling the world these people don't know how to add and subtract. We're going to put an end to that. We're going to put an end to that. How we do it? Register and vote. On my previous show, we talked about in the state of Mississippi, we have more infants dying per thousand than over there in what they have in the war right now. In Mississippi, it's documented. Black births, 17 out of every 1,000 don't make it to their first birthday. Do you hear any hue and cry about that? Are they jumping up and down at the legislature saying how we gonna fix that? We had one sister who just got elected and sent over there, Commissioner Mumford, who brought that issue up, just hit the ground running. Because we were smart enough to send somebody over there like that. We can do it. They don't want us to think that we can. Yeah, that's what they want us all to think. But ain't no need in voting. Everything gonna remain the same. It ain't gonna remain the same. Nature ain't like that. It just get better or get worse. Nothing remains the same. We in the business of getting better. And we can do it. Again, 601-948-5950. Appreciate your call. I know sometimes this information gets so heavy, man, you get saying, wow. But it's the fact, it's the truth. That's what it is. Why should someone be getting a water bill for $1,700? Why should anybody be getting a water bill for $7,000? Jackson used to run his water department. It don't now. We used to get in Jackson, you used to get a water bill once every 2 months. They brought this white guy in here, and then we started getting the water bill once a month. Same water bill. That's 100% raise right off the bat. How you get somebody 100% raise and then next day we still broke? We need more money. While he makes $300,000 a year. That's that scheme that they've been playing on us for the past 30 years. So something we peeped the scheme. We broke. Anybody know of any law in Mississippi that says black folks don't have to pay tax? Please call me and tell. How we broke? We ain't stopped paying taxes. So people, no, that's why I disagree on that point with the caller. We're not dumb. We're not stupid. We've been uninformed and we didn't know what to do. But now I'm telling you, the biggest weapon we got is to register and vote. And you won't have anybody going up to the Senate or Congress making jokes about the black folks in Mississippi. I bet you they'd be too afraid to do that. But as long as they can convince us, it don't make any difference. As long as they can do that, they win. Go ahead, Carly, on there. Yes, sir.
We need to quit talking about the same thing. We need to do something about it. That's the only thing I want to say.
Okay, thank you for your call. So I say, put it out there, and pretty soon they'll hear what I'm saying. I mean, if your house is on fire, if you don't run out the house saying my house on fire and stop, you yell my house is on fire till you put the fire out. You talk about the same thing until you fix it. It ain't going anywhere. You see, yeah, like it's time out for the little quirks. That's what I'm saying. It don't make any difference. It's gonna be the same if you vote or if you don't vote. Yeah, they want you to think like that. Yeah, they want you to think like that. So I'm saying to you, those out there listen, when you call in, if the people are listening to you, then they say, yeah, I'm thinking like that too. Now I go to my grave that would believing that we as a people are not dumb, we're not stupid. That's why in our schools, the only thing they want to start teaching is from slavery. And that's that our history began with slavery in America. Go ahead, Carly, you on there.
How you doing this morning? This is about Samson Daddy.
I'm good. How about you, brother?
I am fine. Man, I'm talking about you make so much sense, man. You make a crazy, man. Thank you. Like that man said, man, you just talk so much, but you gotta try to keep talking for them to understand.
Yes, sir.
This is the workplace. Listen, I was done and baked up since yesterday. When I looked at this city council, every one of them need to step down right now, because y'all ain't got the best interest of the citizens. That's about the incompetence crew. I thought the last crew was incompetent. Man, this crew right here, you done let a 12% raise on the people board.
Right.
Expect. Then you looking at the white lawyer talking, oh, he did this and that. We're gonna get him fired, Kenny Stokes. All y'all need to find and get out, because you ain't a good steward of the people's money.
Said a lot, brother.
Police chief come in here. This man gave her $30,000 raise, and she ain't opened a book, ain't put a uniform on. Let her earn that $30,000 raise she done got. We do everything now. But I'm just looking at here, John Horn, I said maybe we're gonna get a chance so he can work with the people. Man, all of them, we just move, man. And as far as voting, everybody holler about this voting list. This not gonna never change till people start voting for the term limit. Then these folks can't run but for 2 terms.
Mm-hmm.
And I guarantee you, that's when everything gonna turn over.
Well, you're making a good point there, brother. Making a good point. Appreciate it. Thank you for your call. As I say, we listening. We listening. And when I say it don't matter who causing you to suffer, what color the skin, what difference does that make? Go ahead, Carly, you're on there.
Yeah, thank you, sir. I appreciate it for allowing me to get on and speak.
Yes, sir.
I think with the citizens of Jackson, I'll be honest with you, it's I ain't gonna say that about because I'm down here in Jackson. I ain't gonna call, but a lot of us are literate. The issue is this right here. I don't know why these people don't realize that it's a attack up on them. What we got to do, we really got to get back to the book. But for our present day condition, first thing we need to do is, if you want to beat these foreign nations, these Jewish folks, these Indian people and all that, all you got to do is just withhold your money. Stop shopping with them. I don't know. I mean, I just think about just don't shop with them. All you got to do is withhold your money. This water situation, everybody in the city, all you got to do is don't pay April's water bill. I bet you the federal government government and the state governor, I bet you they'll intervene then. All you gotta do is just start paying. That's all you gotta do is start paying.
Well,
All of our issues is we always feel like that we have to be assimilated with these different nations. With us, we go and we spend all our money with all these different people and they don't do nothing to us. You got to be, another thing about the Citizen Jackson, you got to be stupid to vote for Kenny Stokes. You know how stupid y'all, I mean, seriously, sir. Do you know how stupid we got to be to vote for a clown like this?
yeah, brother.
Even Mayor Horn or all the rest of them, you know how stupid we are?
Well, we gonna fix it though. I can hear it in your voice, man. You know, you keep talking to people that it's gonna catch on. I hear it in your voice, brother. I appreciate your call too, man.
Yes, sir.
You know, at some point, you know, we all begin to say enough's enough. So that's why I keep saying, yes, we have a way. Number one, register and vote. And vote for people, know who we voting for. If anybody, whoever you see, if you think they shouldn't be in that office the next time the ballots come around, that won't be the one you vote for. But a lot of them are hoping that we don't vote. They still hoping that we don't vote. The first time the former mayor was put in office, he got 17,000 votes total. Out of a population of 150,000 people. See, we can't afford that anymore. And I'm saying, when these statewide elections, we got to think real big. Because these statewide elected officials, they think, hey, I have to catch myself there. Those black folks don't vote, so I can talk about them like I want to. We're gonna stop that? I have faith in us. I do. You see, when we realize that that's where we really can make a difference, and we can. Because I say we are unique here in Mississippi, in Jackson, in Hinds County. We're unique because of the numbers that we have. Over 80% of the population in Jackson, over 80% of the population in Hinds County. Go ahead, Carl.
Good evening, Judge. Great show always, man. I listen to you every week.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
I have two questions. I'm going to ask you these two questions. I'm going to hang up and listen.
Yes, sir.
Who approved the superintendent of Jackson Public Schools this $50,000 raise? And where it is in corporate America, he gets to keep his job with a speed-rated school and a $50,000 raise?
Yes, sir. Good question. I can tell you that the body of people that approved this $50,000 raise was the school board. Those 7 members on the school board, 5 of whom are black. Go ahead, Carl, you're on there.
Good evening, Mr.
Yes, sir.
I got a comment basically. Is that I enjoy this past holiday, Easter. And during the time of Easter, they got this thing they call the Exodus, right?
Mm-hmm.
No, that came from the Bible. So, look at the longest back from the beginning this time, they serving white folks that they begging for. And I look at it, they think they do that. Now, this people, they just went to the moon. When they come back, all they gonna need black folks is, to help them to load the ever, load the ship up, for them to get to the moon. They're not taking us with them now. So right now, what we should do is get ourselves a number one Negro, go up there and talk to the president, and let him find some country somewhere where we can exit to that country, because, like I said, it's time for us to leave this country. They don't have no respect for us. They don't have no use for us anymore, and they don't want to do right by us. Every law they make up in the legislature is about putting us back in this way. Every law, you look at the business of the legislature, it's about you riding around in city track. What do you see? Nothing but a damn phone.
I hear you, man. I hear you. I'm getting down to the end of my show. I hear you loud and clear, brother. And that's why I keep trying to put out here to us the unique situation that we have in Mississippi. I'm talking about black folks. Nothing against white folks. I'm just saying the fact that we are here. The fact in Jackson, we run Jackson. We are the government in Jackson. In Hinds County, we run Hinds County. We are, by law, the government of Hinds County. We run Jackson Public Schools by law. We make the rules and we spend the money. Corey Caller, you're there.
Minimum wage ain't nothing but slavery. Minimum wage ain't shit.
Appreciate your call, caller. When you look at what our teachers are making, the ones who are out there teaching our children, they're making just about minimum wage in this day and time. This so-called raise that they gave them amounted to less than $100 a month. The average teacher in Jackson makes less than a manager at Popeyes. And they teaching our children. But we can give the superintendent a $50,000 raise when he was already making $230,000 a year. And we got principals making 83 on the average, 83,000 a year. We get down to the end of my show. I appreciate your calls. We're going to keep it going and we'll keep it out there on your mind. We got to register and we got to vote. We got to register and we got to vote. So until next week, I appreciate your call. Standing for the people. I'm Ali Shamsuddin, and we'll be here with you again. Thank you for your call. Take us out, Lady Cherie. Yeah.